That's okay. I got it. So I just turn it sideways. So if I can have my patient hold on to both rails, I like that. Okay. When we did our NDT training, the patients had to hold a folded up ironing board and set it up onto the stair in front of them. So they weren't pulling on the rails and people were facilitating that. I never do that anymore. So I'm gonna have a helper. Somebody come and be a hand. I'm gonna say you're a left-handed this time because we've got more space there.
Does she need her ankle wrapped?
That's all right. Okay, so when I first do patients, if I go up the stairs, lots of times it is actually easier to go downstairs backwards. It's easier from a muscle standpoint to eccentrically go backwards down. So I'm gonna go backwards down. First time we do it, I may just have her do a step 2 gait. So you're gonna make sure this arm keeps coming ahead of her. If she doesn't get it ahead of her, it's gonna make her wanna tip backwards, right? Same thing when we're coming down. If their hand doesn't come with them, it's gonna throw their balance off a lot, okay? So I may, look, if I have a gait belt, you're gonna end up using that gait belt a lot probably to help me just in case. So she's gonna give some weight bearing on that arm. So I'm gonna have her weight bear first, okay? So I'm gonna give a really strong, strong quad here.
Facebook Live. Ooh, I'm skinny. You're so skinny. Oh my God, so hot.
Okay, so I want you to step up with this leg first. My shoulder is completely into her butt, okay? My hand is way around her quad. And my hand is gonna be at the front of her, a little bit here on her abdomen. Okay, go ahead and let's step up with that right leg for me. And I probably let her hyperextend at that knee. Now I want you to push up, you're gonna step up. Up, 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 up. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and do the hardest gait there is, which is step 2. You're gonna slide your hand up, okay? Or, reciprocal. All right, I want you to step all the way up onto this step, okay? Ready? We're gonna come up, 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 up. All right, bend this leg, step it up, 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 and through, okay? Step it up to the top, okay? Did you feel like you kind of had to go forward?
Yeah.
Because my shoulder
You were
is
pushing
totally
me.
pushing her butt forward. Okay? So that's going to be a reciprocal gait. I will work on that as an NDT strengthening activity. Encourage a step through, heavy weight bearing, transition forward. Okay? If I'm teaching her for home, I'm going to go like one step at a time. One step at a time. Okay? So when we come down, we're going to come down backwards. Okay? You're going to come down with this leg first. Okay? All right, shift your weight towards me and come down with that right leg. Okay, got it. We're gonna lift this leg up and back. Let it bend, let it bend. Okay, come down, come down. Okay, lift it up and back, all the way down. Okay, I'm having to stick my knee in there to kind of give her a little bit of flexion.
I feel like you were very with her body when you were coming down with your, especially when you would put your knee here. Like that makes me, I guess it clicks a little more
Right.
in my head because
You kind of have to have a rhythm.
Yeah, it's like you're dancing.
You're moving. If you're not moving in the direction you want them moving, they don't want to go that way.
So does
Right.
like the up with the good, down with the bad not apply in that?
Not always. So in a stroke patient, so that we're doing that as a reciprocal NDT strengthening activity.
Weight bearing
Weight bearing.
versus non-weight bearing is the only sequencing that matters with your stroke patients.
Go ahead and come up to the top ones. Now, if I'm training for home and we're getting closer to going home, go ahead and turn around. Not very many patients love to go down the stairs backwards. They might have to if they only have one rail and they absolutely can't sidestep it down. So it depends on the patient, right? You have to look at your patient. I'll practice with them both directions to see what works better for them. So let's say this patient has a lot of extensor tone and her leg likes to scissor. So this is your bad leg and you want to step down with it, and every time you do, it crosses. So I'm not gonna teach her to go that way, but she's got a lot of extensor tone, so she's pretty good in weight bearing, right? So that patient, I'm gonna allow to be up here. Okay, I want you to come down with that right leg. Okay. And I'm ready for her. Okay. A lot of patients will be locked out up here. Make sure they're not locked. Because if they're locked and they go to step down, when it unlocks, it feels like they're falling, even though they've got quads, because it's such a, their proprioception's not great. So if they go from unlocked to locked, so I'll be like, make sure your knee is bent. And now I have to be there to control that eccentrically. Okay? I'm thinking she's got a lot of extensor tone, she'll do okay, but eccentric is a whole different beast, right? Now, she might not have enough flexion to get it to clear the step forward. She can't get it to, she gets stuck here. So that patient also, I may have to go down with this leg first if they've got enough control there. Okay? So it just depends on the patient. If this patient can step that foot pretty good, yeah, by all means, I'm gonna let them do that. But a stroke patient is not always up with the good, down with the bad. It'll really depend on what they're doing. So let's say, so this is your bad leg. And I do say bad leg, sorry, I promise you your patient knows which one you're talking about then. Step that foot down for me, down with your right leg. Good. Shift your hands ahead, okay? Down with this left leg. Bring it all the way, okay? All right, let's go all the way to the next step. Coming on down, okay, bring it forward, come all the way down. See how my knee went back there? So I could be behind it and I could be in front of it, okay? I'm here, so she starts to fall forward. She's gonna fall into my shoulder. Hey, I need help. Somebody's gonna come and help me, okay? Now I do step 2. There's nothing wrong with step 2. That's just your harder way. It's just gonna be easier to go to one step, right? Okay, any questions?
If they weren't wearing a shoe with laces, how would you advance their leg? Would you just grab their foot?
Yeah, just depends. I may A-strap them up. I'm not always A-strapping everybody. Some people have some dorsiflexion too, right? Go ahead and let your foot drop. So I might just have to lift it high enough if she's foot dropped and come there, right?
It's loose right here.
I may grab her foot. So I lots of times will work just on the stairs on step pattern. So I may have her just, let's step all the way down to the floor, okay? And we're gonna step all the way up to the next step, okay? All the way down to the floor. And I will just grab their foot. Because lots of times they might be wearing grippy socks. To get patients to get shoes can be really hard. Walmart, the Velcro shoes, buy them for your patients if you need to. It'll make your life easier. All right. Does anybody want to practice that?
Yeah, everybody does.
So I'm going to show you guys like a bilateral gait. So there's 2, so you guys can be doing 2 things at once.
Yep.
So COVID, lovely COVID. A lot of neuromuscular weird stuff is going on with that. I've got a man right now who was intubated for months. He is super weak everywhere. He's got foot drop on both feet. He's really weak. He needs somebody to spot potentially both legs. Okay, so somebody be my patient. And I'm going to show you how we started walking with him. He's now walking at a rolling walk. But in the beginning, he hadn't stood since, I don't know, the beginning of December. He came to us the week of the snowstorm, the day before the snowstorm, Friday. So I use my sling. So I have my tech helping me tuck it underneath there. But somebody tuck me here. Just get that way underneath her hips for me. For him, I had to put rubber gloves on his hands to give him some sort of grip, just to get that sling under his butt. I mean, I'm having to lift him forward to get it there. All right. It was taking at least 3 people, if not 4, in the beginning. I got somebody at that chair. They might help me push their butt if they needed to from behind. They had to be right with me. I didn't ace his feet the first time I saw him just to see. Sometimes people will have dorsiflexion when they start to lift. So we're gonna pretend like you're dorsiflexed. And if not, when he first walked, he just had to lift with like a little higher steppage gait, but he could get it through. Okay, so somebody's going to be here by her hand. Okay, so in the beginning, and he's a big man. In the beginning, I could not keep both legs because he was too big and he needed too much help. So this person over here was helping to spot his shoulder up. Okay, and they were also having to help me a little bit with that leg if I needed it. Okay, so for me, if I'm in front of a person, I have way more control of them than if I'm out of the bars at the side. That's for me. I feel like if this patient's going to drop down, I've got them, right? I'm in front, the chair is behind. If I'm on the outside and their legs go, then you're going to put your patient wanting to crumple down like that, and you're pulling up on them, and they maybe didn't hit the floor, but a really low-level patient, it's good to be in the front of them. So I would use my sling. I picked his weaker leg in the beginning to hold, and I had to lean him way forward and bring him up. Now, it wasn't near that easy, okay? He couldn't even bend forward, so you're going to help bring her trunk forward. You're going to facilitate her ahead. So you're going to lean her ahead, okay? On the count of 3, we're going to stand on up. 1, 2, 3. I had to push him up with my shoulder and my chest, okay? So I'm here. This, he could actually grip with his hand. Just was a weak grip, so you're going to help this leg a little bit for me, okay? So you're going to be at the belt, and I'm going to be, we're going to shift, you're going to step this leg through, okay? So I use my hand to kind of facilitate that flexion a little bit. Now I want you to spot her knee, spot her knee. We're going to come up and through, step it through, okay? Come to me, come on through. Okay.
And the pattern wouldn't be nearly that fast.
Bring your hands ahead. Okay, so I had control of his hips. He often buckled with his trunk. Yep, just like that. I'm like, oh, nope, push it up, push it up, push it up. And I'd have to get down under him and push up with my shoulder, okay? Now, once we started going a little bit, I didn't always use that second person. And I could, when he, go ahead and sit down. When he went to stand, because now I knew I could trust him a little bit more. Count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, bring the shoulder. Okay. Step this foot ahead, bring it through, and then I would spot the knee. Bring this one through, spot the knee. Okay. So that's how I ended up walking him for a while. Now we went to the Arjo, put him in a solo harness from the ceiling, and then we took him to the rolling walker. He was not fluent in the bars yet. I was like, we can't be in the bars forever, and he's stalling up. Put him on the rolling walker, and he actually did pretty good because he didn't have to move his hands. If I pulled the walker ahead, now he kept that constant support, so he wasn't losing his trunk as much. So just because they're struggling in the bars doesn't mean you maybe shouldn't try a different device, okay? One other thing that not every place has a lot of equipment, or like standing frames are lovely. That patient who had a bilateral stroke, or is a spinal cord incomplete, or there might be even more so than that, but I need to get them in weight bearing. Go ahead and have a seat. So this one is pretty squishy. My wedges are a lot firmer, but I'll use that. I might put a towel roll between their knees if they're really somebody who's going to adduct. I might put a towel roll here and a TheraBand around the outside. So if their legs want to splay apart, or if they want to come together, I've got that controlled between the TheraBand and the towel.
Because you want them in neutral alignment.
So let's say you don't have the sling, you can take a sheet, wrap it, put it under their butt, and pull on it, right? Mm-hmm. So come on up, forward, and up. I've got both of her knees, and it's pretty comfortable. Okay, so if you're trying to work on standing pre-gait weight bearing, and now I can be like, okay, bend your knees a little bit, try to sit, and then come back up, come back up. Okay, so I can let go some and feel, is she holding it? Nope, not yet. Versus just how he's sticking them in a frame where they're locked in and I can't feel what's going on with them, depending on what kind of frame you have. In Minden, we have a wooden box. The biggest frame. I would like a real frame, but I would still do this activity. Okay, so that's a nice little cheat. If you've got somebody who's got weakness in both legs where they're both buckling, to go off of, okay? So you guys can kind of try that. Just thinking of how you would, you know, block one leg than the other. He had active movement. He could step some. It wasn't always pretty, but he needed me to be on his knee each time. Otherwise, he had potential to buckle. Also buckling forward with his trunk. So try the stairs and try kind of a two-person gait there.
Tina, will you send me the little piece with the wedge?
Oh,